Good evening, bookworms. Something's going on right now. So, let's see. YouTube says it's live. I think we're live. Not sure what's going on. I'm getting a blank screen, you guys. Is it because it's a surprise time? I know I hardly ever do lives at this hour, 7 p.m. Pacific, but I just wanted to try something new. So today, welcome everybody to your Chattering Magpie fashionably late edition. So I hope you have been having a wonderful Wednesday. I've been pretty busy myself, you guys, but I am glad that I get to relax and unwind with a little bit of literature, a little bit of Jane Eyre, and I am so looking forward to spending some time with you guys. All right, so thank you, Little Butterfly, for letting me know I'm live now. I don't know why I was struggling. So let's see. All right, I think we're good. Yes. So I'm going to say hello to Early Gang and to everybody that's with me. I saw Akihana. Akihana, you win first early gang comment. Here, have a whole bunch of hearts for me. And thank you for sharing your thoughts. Yes, today we're going to follow up on what we have learned so far about Sinjin, his family, Jane's new position. But I'll give a TLDR in just a little bit, because I know some of you probably, Red Tempest, have not been able to keep up. So I'll do a TLDR. Don't worry, Red, I am here. I got you. So Akihana says, I remember mentioning a couple sessions back that I have this gut feeling that Jane might be bloodkin to the Rivers. Well, that's actually a pretty good theory. We'll have to see, though, if they are related or not. That would be a coincidence of all coincidences, honestly. But I would love for it to be true, though. But I mean, it's nice, though, that she did manage to find a couple of people that they're very similar. Like, they have good taste, they're educated, they're kind of like impoverished gentry, which is what she comes from. Her family, her dad was also a curate, so there's several similarities. And yes, we also get a reaction about an Uncle John's death. Ooh, imagine that, right? They have an uncle called John, and I don't know, I forget what was Jane Eyre's uncle name. Well, whatever. So their uncle died. Unfortunately, though, he didn't leave them jack except 30 guineas. So anyway, Akihana says, my guess is that Jane's dad and their mom are siblings, and that dead Uncle John is the same rich, sick uncle of Jane that made her his sole heiress. Ooh, wow. That's quite a sound theory, though. That's a really good theory. We'll have to see, though. You're somewhere warmish. You're getting warmer, so keep thinking and keep following this story. Okay. So Red Tempest says we can wait. Oh. So the Chattering Magpie read says, I will be about 10 minutes late, everybody. So you guys, I got really ambitious. I was like, okay, 4:30, I clock out of work. I can go get some dinner, do some quick grocery shopping, be here by 7. Yeah, so almost managed to get it. By the time I was leaving the last grocery store, the last market, it's only like 5 minutes away by car from my house. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, because I still have to do like another stop at the library. So I had to delay this live. So thank you for your patience, everybody. It was all for a good cause. It was to feed your magpie's intellect as well as her physical body. Yeah, I had to go and get some good stuff, some nourishment. But yeah, thank you for your patience. And I'm happy that Noodles Dumplings Kimchi is here. Good evening, fellow bookworms, they say, and good evening to you too. And I know, Crusher, it's surprise read along time. I hardly ever do them at this quote unquote late hour, because usually I just don't. It just doesn't fit with my schedule. But today is the one that we're gonna do, like an evening, late night for East Coast, or early evening for Pacific, or middle of the day for Philippines peeps. So welcome everybody. And if you are watching this on a replay, I hope you enjoyed as well. So, TLDR, what we missed in the last one. Yes, Red Tempest, I did call you out. Red Tempest, this is what happened on the previous read-along. I don't know how far back you kind of delayed, but okay. Jane Eyre left Thornfield and wandered around the moors, homeless, without anything to her name except the clothes on her back. She stumbles upon this house in the middle of nowhere, and it's the house of St. John Rivers and his his two sisters, sorry, and their maid. They take her in, and the girls, his sisters, they're adult women. They're also governesses. They take a liking to Jane, and Jane really attached themselves to her. They had a really nice time just being friends. But unfortunately, they are governesses, so after some time, they had to leave. But during the interval of just that month of just hanging out with the Rivers kids, they are introduced to us their family circumstances. Their mother was a very educated woman. Their father was, he liked to work the land, but he used to have money. But one of his relatives said, like, "Hey, yo, let's give me some money, and I will invest this on this new venture." And then this uncle lost their dad's money. They had a disagreement. The uncle just effed off, who knows where, and they just learned that their uncle died, and he died having made a lot of money. So they're like, okay, well, uncle, he wronged our father. What is he gonna leave us? And turns out the uncle gave them absolutely zero money. Basically only gave him about 30 guineas. That's about, so back in the day, a guinea is basically a pound and a shilling. It was like the currency, you would say, that the rich people would use. So a pound and a little over, let's see, 1, 2, 3, a little over 32 pounds, I believe. I think that's it, if my math is correct. Because I think anyway, so they're disappointed. Meanwhile, the girls leave. They're like, well, it would have been nice if we had like a few thousand to get off. Like, they wouldn't have to work like as governesses, but unfortunately, they have to work for their living. Meanwhile, Jane finally has acquired a job as a teacher in the village school. She opens a new school, and she gets to know like some people, especially one person called Rosamond Oliver, who is the village's most beautiful and most rich girl. She is basically due to inherit a lot of money, and she's absolutely gorgeous. And she's in love with St. John, but St. John is, what can I say about St. John, you guys? How would you describe St. John? It's hard. Oh my gosh, Rogelio Diaz. If only it were a guinea pig. What would you do with 30 guineas? What would you do with 30 guinea pigs? Honestly, Rogelio, what would you do? I would rather just have 30 golden guineas, like coins. Give me some plata. I need plata. I don't know what I would do with guinea pigs. And I'm not Peruvian to like cook them as one would with cuy. So no, unless I make a guinea pig farm and sell the guinea pigs. And then I could market the guinea pigs, do a live broadcast so people all over the world could watch it, and then they get endeared to the guinea pig and they're like, I want to adopt him. Or I don't know. Sorry, you guys. I always cook up random business ideas. Anyway, so where were we? So Sinjin is a very cold person, and he at first hated his calling of being a curate. He thought it was beneath him, but he realized that he could serve God and also fulfill his desires for greatness by becoming a missionary. So that's what he wants to do. He wants to become a missionary. So we got Jane Eyre, who hasn't told the people her real name and her real story. She's still hiding her background. Nobody knows where she's from or who her people are or what's her real name. So we have Jane in her school. We have Sinjin, who is the priest or the curate at the parish. Diana and Mary have all gone to big cities to work as governesses. We have Rosamond Oliver, who's in love with Sinjin, but Sinjin who keeps, squashing his feelings for her. He does not want to fall in love. Oh, well, he's already in love, but he does not want to act upon that love. Okay, so I think I kind of basically used up as much time as I would have been reading it, just explaining what happened. But back to the guinea pigs. Red Tempest says, I heard they taste good. I've seen them. I've seen cuis. I've seen them cooked. They're basically like deep fried. It's insane, and they're like splayed out. Like they don't like cut them out. Like it's like a full body deep fried. So you could also do that. But I'm a vegetarian, so I wouldn't eat it. But I know people who would, and I don't judge them. I don't judge. You eat what you eat, and so. Anyway, peeps, I think it's a good time to get us all started, to just relax a little and let your magpie read to you some delightful Jane Eyre. Oh, let's see. Hold on a second. Noodle Something's Kimchi says, was he the emo guy? Yes, he's the emo guy. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Sinjin is the emo guy. And yes, Red Tempest, their uncle was a terrible uncle, right? It's so unfair what he did. Crusher says, I just made a meme for today. Okay, I will check it out. Remind me though, I don't want to leave this live without checking out your meme. And Akihana says, I think him squashing the daisy in the previous chapter. Okay, so Rosamond came to talk to Sinjin and Jane was nearby. So she was trying to entice him to like visit the father, to come visit them. And then Sinjin didn't even turn to look at her in the eye. He just like was looking at the ground. He was looking at some flowers and he stepped and squashed the flower under his foot. And yes, I absolutely believe that is really blatant symbolism. It's symbolic for him squashing his romantic feelings for Rosamond. Yes, it's his weakness. It is he is determined not to fall and not to act upon his feelings. There was a line that's, let me see, a line at the end of the last chapter. It said, let's see, Diana Rivers had designated her brother inexorable as death. She had not exaggerated. He is very, very harsh to himself. Who knows if to other people, but definitely to himself. We'll see. What else? I saw Gordon Ramsay eat them before. Cuis! Oh my goodness. I wonder what he said about them. Noodles Dumplings Kimchi says, yes, Sinjin is also full of himself. Yes, you have to, like you talk to him and he just went on meditations and reflections about his life. And Jane is like, yo, dude, what kind of job did you get me? He's like, well, my life has been, she's like, oh my gosh, can you just tell me what kind of job I'm going to do from now on? She had to drag the information from him because he was just so into himself. Ugh. Crusher says, wait, what? I leave for 5 minutes and now we're roasting small rodents. Yes, indeed we are. You never know what you will find in a live stream with Magpie. Also, Akihana describes Sinjin as a tuning bio. Yes, that is. I think that's what you. That's eighth grade syndrome, right? Where you feel you're like an edgy dark lord. It's in like an anime trope, I guess. Yeah, that's also the same. I know. Did I say Rosamine? Oh, did I say Rosamine? No, I meant Rosamund. Oh my gosh, Rosamund. All right. I think I should just get us started before I confuse people further. Noodle Dumplings Kimchi says, I hope Sinjin will become a simp in the next life. I curse you, Sinjin. And Akihana says, yep. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens to Sinjin. Maybe not in next life, but in this life. Let's see what happens in this life. You never know. All right. Enough mysteries. It is time for me to share with you what happens next in the story. No, Red Tempest, it's not a bookworm live stream. And no, you guys told me that he was basically Ferdinand. He's not Ferdinand. There's nothing that's Ferdinand-like about him, I think. I mean, he is good looking. He's very good looking, you guys. 1, he works for the church. 2, he's intellectual and educated. 3, but that's about it. That's where it ends. Rogelio Diaz calling out the bookworm brain rot is real. I mean, come on. I've been doing bookworm for about 3 years. I've been every waking moment that's not devoted to family, work, is devoted towards like thinking about this channel and what content they can do and what book I have to read, and there's bound to be some brain damage for real. All right, enough of this. Have to get this started, you guys. It is 7:30. We've been 20 minutes just chatting. I've had so much fun. I love to see all this chat active. But let us head into Jane Eyre. Keep on the comments. I always look forward to reading them. But let us return to Jane Eyre, chapter 32. I continued the labors of the village school as actively and faithfully as I could. It was truly hard work at first. Some time elapsed before, with all my efforts, I could comprehend my scholars and their nature. Wholly untaught, with faculties quite torpid, they seemed to me hopelessly dull, and at first all dull alike. But I soon found I was mistaken. There was a difference amongst them as amongst the educated, and when I got to know them, and they me, this difference rapidly developed itself. Their amazement at me, my language, my rules and ways, once subsided, I found some of these heavy-looking, gaping rustics wake up into sharp-witted girls enough. Many showed themselves obliging and amiable too, and I discovered amongst them not a few examples of natural politeness and innate self-respect, as well as of excellent capacity that won both my goodwill and admiration. These soon took a pleasure in doing their work well, in keeping their persons neat, in learning their tasks regularly, in acquiring quiet and orderly manners. The rapidity of their progress, in some instances, was even surprising, and an honest and happy pride I took in it. Besides, I began personally to like some of the best girls, and they liked me. I had amongst my scholars several farmers' daughters, young women grown almost. These could already read, write, and sew, and to them I taught the elements of grammar, geography, history, and the finer kinds of needlework. I found estimable characters amongst them, characters desirous of information and disposed for improvement, with whom I passed many a pleasant evening hour in their own homes. Their parents, then, the farmer and his wife, loaded me with attentions. There was an enjoyment in accepting their simple kindness, and in repaying it by a consideration, a scrupulous regard to their feeling, to which they were not perhaps at all times accustomed, and which both charmed and benefited them, because, while it elevated them in their own eyes, it made them emulous to merit the deferential treatment they received. I felt I became a favorite in the neighborhood. Whenever I went out, I heard on all sides cordial salutations, and was welcomed with friendly smiles. To live amidst general regard, though it be but the regard of working people, is like sitting in sunshine, calm and sweet. Serene inward feelings bud and bloom under the ray. At this period of my life, my heart far oftener swelled with thankfulness than sank with dejection. And yet, reader, to tell you all, in the midst of this calm, this useful existence, after a day passed in honorable exertion among my scholars, an evening spent in drawing or reading contentedly alone, I used to rush into strange dreams at night, dreams many-colored, agitated, full of the ideal, the stirring, the stormy. Dreams where amidst unusual scenes, charged with adventure, with agitating risk and romantic chance, I still again and again met Mr. Rochester, always at some exciting crisis, and in the sense of being in his arms, hearing his voice, meeting his eye, touching his hand and cheek, loving him, being loved by him, the hope of passing a lifetime at his side would be renewed with all its first force and fire. Then I awoke. Then I recalled where I was and how situated. Then I rose up on my curtainless bed, trembling and quivering. And then the still dark night witnessed the convulsion of despair and heard the burst of passion. By 9 o'clock the next morning, I was punctually opening the school, tranquil, settled, prepared for the steady duties of the day. Rosamond Oliver kept her word in coming to visit me. Her call at the school was generally made in the course of her morning ride. She would canter up to the door on her pony, followed by a mounted liveried servant. Anything more exquisite than her appearance, in her purple habit, with her Amazon's cap of black velvet placed gracefully above the long curls that kissed her cheek and floated to her shoulders, can scarcely be imagined. And it was thus she would enter the rustic building and glide through the dazzled ranks of the village children. She generally came at the hour when Mr. Rivers was engaged in giving his daily catechism lesson. Keenly I fear that the eye of the visitress pierced the young pastor's heart. A sort of instinct seemed to warn him of her entrance, even when he did not see it. And when he was looking quite away from the door, if she appeared at it, his cheek would glow, and his marble-seeming features, though they refused to relax, changed indescribably, and in their very quiescence became expressive of a repressed fervor stronger than working muscle or darting glance could indicate. Of course, she knew her power. Indeed, he did not, because he could not conceal it from her. In spite of his Christian stoicism, when she went up and addressed him, and smiled gaily, encouragingly, even fondly in his face, his hand would tremble and his eye burn. He seemed to say with his sad and resolute look, if he did not say with his lips, "I love you, and I know you prefer me. It is not despair of success that keeps me dumb. If I offered my heart, I believe you would accept it. But that heart is already laid on a sacred altar. The fire is arranged round it. It will soon be no more than a sacrifice consumed." And then she would pout like a disappointed child. A pensive cloud would soften her radiant vivacity. She would withdraw her hand hastily from his, and turn in transient petulance from his aspect, at once so heroic and so martyr-like. St. John, no doubt, would have given the world to follow, recall, retain her, when she thus left him. But he would not give one chance of heaven, nor relinquish for the Elysium of her love one hope of the true eternal paradise. Besides, he could not bind all that he had in his nature, the rover, the aspirant, the poet, the priest, in the limits of a single passion. He could not, he would not, renounce his wild field of mission warfare for the parlors and the peace of Vale Hall. I learned so much from himself in an inroad I once, despite his reserve, had the daring to make on his confidence. Miss Oliver already honored me with frequent visits to my cottage. I had learned her whole character, which was without mystery or disguise. She was coquettish, but not heartless, exacting, but not worthlessly selfish. She had been indulged from her birth, but was not absolutely spoiled. She was hasty, but good-humored. Vain, she could not help it, when every glance in the glass showed her such a flush of loveliness, but not affected. Liberal-handed, innocent of the pride of wealth, ingenious, sufficiently intelligent, gay, lively, and unthinking. She was very charming, in short, even to a cool observer of her own sex like me. But she was not profoundly interesting or thoroughly impressive. A very different sort of mind was hers from that, for instance, of the sisters of St. John. Still, I liked her almost as I liked my pupil Adele. Oh my gosh! Except that for a child whom we have watched over and taught, a closer affection is engendered than we can give an equally attractive adult acquaintance. So she doesn't measure up to St. John's sister. So she's a good girl, and she's not a bad spoiled girl, but she, like, her intellect, her, like, she's just not, doesn't measure up. Like, they could not converse in the same way that she could converse with the Rivers girls. And then what else it? But she's like, but I kind of like her. She reminds me of Adele, so she, like, that's at the level that Rosamund Oliver is at the level of Adele, and yet a little bit below, because Jane could take pride in Adele and her accomplishments because she basically educated her, but not with Rosamund. So still, she's like, she's an okay kid. She's fond of her. Just how she compares them, it's pretty fun. Let's see. She had taken an amiable caprice to me. She said I was like Mr. Rivers, only certainly, she allowed, not 1/10 so handsome, though I was a nice, neat little soul enough, but he was an angel. Thanks, Rosamund, uh, for the compliment. Oh my gosh, girl. I know she seems like she's sweet, Noodle Dumplings Kimchi, but did you really have to say that? Not 1/10 as handsome as St. John. Well, okay, thanks. I was, however, good, clever, composed, and firm like him. I was a lusus naturae, she affirmed, as a village schoolmistress. She was sure my previous history, if known, would make a delightful romance. Oh, girl, you have no idea. One evening, while, with her usual childlike activity and thoughtless, yet not offensive inquisitiveness, she was rummaging the cupboard at the table drawer of my little kitchen, she discovered first 2 French books, a volume of Schiller, a German grammar and dictionary, and then my drawing materials and some sketches, including a pencil head of a pretty little cherub-like child, one of my scholars, and sundry views from nature taken in the Vale of Morton and on the surrounding moors. She was first transfixed with surprise, and then electrified with delight. Had I done these pictures? Did I know French and German? What a love, what a miracle I was! I drew better than her master in her first school in S. Would I sketch a portrait of her to show to Papa? With pleasure, I replied, and I felt a thrill of artist delight at the idea of copying forms so perfect and radiant a model. She had then on a dark blue silk dress. Her arms and neck were bare. Her only ornament was her chestnut tresses, which waved over her shoulders with all the wild grace of natural curls. I took a sheet of fine cardboard and drew a careful outline. I promised myself the pleasure of coloring it, and as it was getting late then, I told her she must come and sit another day. She made such a report of me to her father that Mr. Oliver himself accompanied her the next evening. A tall, massive-featured, middle-aged and gray-headed man, at whose side his lovely daughter looked like a bright flower near a hoary turret. He appeared taciturn, and perhaps a proud personage, but he was very kind to me. The sketch of Rosamond's portrait pleased him highly. He said I must make a finished picture of it. He insisted, too, on my coming the next day to spend the evening at Vale Hall. I went. I found it a large, handsome residence, showing abundant evidences of wealth in the proprietor. Rosamond was full of glee and pleasure all the time I stayed. Her father was affable, and when he entered into conversation with me after tea, he expressed in strong terms his approbation of what I had done in Morton School, and said he only feared, from what he heard and saw, that I was too good for the place, and would soon quit it for one more suitable. "Indeed," cried Rosamond, "she is clever enough to be a governess in a high family, papa." I thought I would far rather be where I am than in any high family in the land. Mr. Oliver spoke of Mr. Rivers, of the Rivers family, with great respect. He said it was a very old name in that neighborhood, that the ancestors of the house were wealthy, that all Morton had once belonged to them, that even now he considered the representative of that house might, if he liked, make an alliance with the best. He accounted it a pity that so fine and talented a young man should have formed the design of going out as a missionary. It was quite throwing a valuable life away. It appeared, then, that her father would throw no obstacle in the way of Rosamond's union with Mr. St. John. Mr. Oliver evidently regarded the young clergyman's good birth, old name, and sacred profession as sufficient compensation for the want of fortune. It was the 5th of November, and the holiday. My little servant, after helping me to clean my house, was gone, well satisfied with the fee of a penny for her aid. All about me was spotless and bright, scoured floor, polished grate, and well-rubbed chairs. I had also made myself neat, and had now the afternoon before me to spend as I would. A translation of a few pages of German occupied an hour. Then I got my palette and pencils, and fell to the more soothing, because easier occupation, of completing Rosamond Oliver's miniature. The head was finished already. There was but the background to tint and the drapery to shade off. A touch of carmine, too, to add to the ripe lips. A soft curl here and there to the tresses. A deeper tinge to the shadow of the lash under the azured eyelid. I was absorbed in the execution of these nice details, when after one rapid tap, my door unclosed, admitting St. John Rivers. "Oh, well, that's great. Make yourself at home, St. John. Can't you wait?" What if she had been, like, dressing or something, dude? Anyway. So, let's see. St. John's here. St. John is here, you guys. "I am come to see how you're spending your holiday," he said. "Not, I hope, in thought?" "No, that is well. While you draw, you will not feel lonely. You see, I mistrust you still. You have borne up wonderfully so far. I have brought you a book for evening solace." And he laid on the table a new publication. A poem, one of those genuine productions so often vouchsafed to the fortunate public of those days, the golden age of modern literature. Alas, the readers of our era are less favored. But courage. I will not pause either to accuse or repine. I know poetry is not dead, nor genius lost, nor has Mammon gained power over either to bind or slay. They will both assert their existence, their presence, their liberty and strength again one day. She just goes into like her own like tangent of poetry of the day, comparing poetry of when she was younger or whatever that's better than the poetry as of now. What would she say of poetry nowadays? So anyway, continuing on her tangent. Noodle something's kimchi. Another guy I'd like to smack. There's a thing called boundaries, buddy. Yeah, right? Knock on the door, my dude. Knock on the door. And wait. Don't just open the door. So anyway. While I was eagerly glancing at the bright pages of a Marmion, for Marmion it was, St. John stooped to examine my drawing. His tall figure sprang erect again with a start. He said nothing. I looked at him. He shunned my eye. I knew his thoughts well and could read his heart plainly. At the moment I felt calmer and cooler than he. I had then, temporarily, the advantage of him, and I conceived an inclination to do him some good if I could. With all his firmness and self-control, thought I, he tasks himself too far, locks every feeling and pang within, expresses, confesses, imparts nothing. I am sure it would benefit him to talk a little bit about his sweet Rosamond, whom he thinks he ought not to marry. I will make him talk. I said first, "Take a chair, Mr. Rivers." But he answered, as he always did, that he could not stay. "Very well," I responded mentally. "Stand if you like, but you shall not go just yet. I am determined. Solitude is at least as bad for you as it is for me. I'll try, if I cannot discover the secret spring of your confidence, and find an aperture in that marble breast through which I can shed one drop of the balm of sympathy." "Is this portrait like?" I asked bluntly. "Like? Like whom? I did not observe it closely." "Ha ha, liar!" "You did, Mr. Rivers." He almost started at my sudden and strange abruptness. He looked astonished. "Oh, that is nothing yet," I murmured within. "I do not mean to be baffled by a little stiffness on your part. I'm prepared to go considerable lengths." I continued. "You observed it closely and distinctly, but I have no objection to your looking at it again." And I rose and placed it in his hand. "Go, Jane." Right, Red Tempest, she wants drama to occupy her time. Yes. Yeah. She wants to break through those defenses. She's like, "Yo, my dude, I know you, like, I need to know, like, explain yourself. Explain yourself, because this is just nonsense." So, let us see what he spills. Spill the tea, Mr. Rivers. "A well-executed picture," he said. "Very soft, clear coloring, very graceful and correct drawing." Yes, yes, I know that. But what of the resemblance? Who's it like?" Mastering some hesitation, he answered, "Miss Oliver, I presume." "Of course. And now, sir, to reward you for the accurate guess, I will promise to paint you a careful and faithful duplicate of this very picture, provided you admit that the gift would be acceptable to you. I don't wish to throw away my time and trouble on an offering you would deem worthless." He continued to gaze at the picture. The longer he looked, the firmer he held it, the more he seemed to covet it. "It is like," he murmured. "The eye is well managed. The color, light, expression are perfect. It smiles. Would it comfort, or would it wound you, to have a similar painting? Tell me that. When you are at Madagascar, or the Cape, or in India, would it be a consolation to have that memento in your possession? Or would the sight of it bring recollections calculated to enervate and distress?" He now furtively raised his eyes. He glanced at me, irresolute, disturbed. He again surveyed the picture. That I should like to have it is certain. Whether it would be judicious or wise is another question. Since I had ascertained that Rosamond really preferred him, and that her father was not likely to oppose the match, I, less exalted in my views than St. John, had been strongly disposed in my own heart to advocate their union. It seemed to me that, should he become the possessor of Mr. Oliver's large fortune, he might do as much good with it as if he went and laid his genius out to wither, and his strength to waste under a tropical sun. With this persuasion I now answered, "As far as I can see, it would be wiser and more judicious if you were to take yourself the original at once." By this time he had sat down. Oh, he wasn't going to sit, but now he sat. Okay. By this time he had sat down. He laid the picture on the table before him, and with his brow supported on both hands, hung fondly over it. I discerned he was now neither angry nor shocked at my audacity. I saw even that to be thus frankly addressed on a subject he had deemed unapproachable, to hear it thus freely handled, was beginning to be felt by him as a new pleasure, an unhoped for relief. Reserved people often really need the frank discussion of their sentiments and griefs more than the expansive. The sternest steaming stoic is human after all. And to burst with boldness and goodwill into the silent sea of their souls is often to confer on them the first of obligations. She likes you, I am sure, said I, as I stood behind his chair, and her father respects you. Moreover, she's a sweet girl, rather thoughtless, but you would have sufficient thought for both yourself and her. You ought to marry her. Does she like me? He asked. Certainly. Ha! He just wants to hear it. Like, oh gosh, dude. You know she likes you. She's been dropping like hints everywhere. Does she like me? He asked. Certainly. Better than she likes anyone. She talks of you continually. There's no subject she enjoys so much or touches upon so often. It is very pleasant to hear this, he said. Very. Go on for another quarter of an hour. And he actually took out his watch and laid it upon the table to measure the time. Dude, St. John, you're something else. Oh, man. Yeah, Red Tempest says when he sat down, he was basically saying, continue, Jane. Yeah. I think this is, and Noodle Something's Kimchi says, I think this is fun for her to needle this guy to prove a point. Yeah. So he's such a he's so St. John like. She's like, I am going to get the better of you and get you to talk and get you to drop your act because this is not good for you. And she's actually trying to help him. It's not because she's doing it out of malice. Well, she's kind of doing it to like for her own amusement a little bit too, to get to the bottom of this drama. But she's also doing it for him. She's telling him like, hey, this is some advice. Like, I'll paint you the picture, but it'd be just better for you to take the original. Come on. She likes you. The father likes you. She's vivacious enough, but you're reserved for the both of you. Like, you can make it work. And he's like, well, keep on telling me the things. And he wants her to talk 15 minutes more on the subject. Yeah, little butterfly says he's full of himself. Red Tempest says he's not that dense, not like Daniel, lol. Yeah, nobody says as dense as Daniel. I have yet to find in literature somebody so dense, right? Yeah, Noodle Dumplings Kimchi is really angry. The emojis. I know. I draw the line at the timer. Yes, I know. She is like surprised. She's like, and he actually took out his watch and laid it upon the table to measure the time. So she's gonna call him out on this. Here it is. But what is the use of going on? I asked. When you're probably preparing some iron blow of contradiction or forging a fresh chain to fetter your heart. Don't imagine such hard things. Fancy me yielding and melting, as I am doing. Human love rising like a freshly opened fountain in my mind, and overflowing with sweet inundation all the field I have so carefully and with such labor prepared, so assiduously sown with the seeds of good intentions, of self-denying plans, and now it is deluged with a nectareous flood. The young germs swamped, the delicious poison cankering them. Now I see myself stretched on an ottoman in the drawing-room at Bell Hall, at my bride Rosamond Oliver's feet. She is talking to me with her sweet voice, gazing down on me with those eyes your skilful hand has copied so well, smiling at me with these coral lips. She is mine. I am hers. This present life and passing world suffice to me. Hush, say nothing. My heart is full of delight. My senses are entranced. Let the time I marked pass in peace. Dude. So he's like, give me 15 minutes to fantasize by myself. Like, okay, my dude, okay. Little butterfly is rolling her eyes. Right. Same here. Jane. She's like, I humored him. The watch ticked on. He breathed fast and slow. I stood silent. Amidst this hush, the quartet sped. He replaced the watch, laid the picture down, rose, and stood on the hearth. Now, said he, that little space was given to delirium and delusion. I rested my temples on the breast of temptation and put my neck voluntarily under her yoke of flowers. I tasted her cup. The pillow was burning. There is an asp in the garland. The wine has a bitter taste. Her promises are hollow. Her offers false. I see and know all this. I gazed at him in wonder. It is strange that while I love Rosamond Oliver so wildly, with all the intensity indeed of a first passion, the object of which is exquisitely beautiful, graceful, and fascinating, I experience at the same time a calm, unwarped conscientiousness that she would not make me a good wife, that she is not the partner suited to me, that I should discover this within a year after marriage, and that to 12 months' rapture would succeed a lifetime of regret. This I know. Strange indeed. I could not help ejaculating. What's up, Noodles? You called me you called my name. What's up, Noodles? Noodles something skin. She says, I'm an Asian and I'm going to roll my eyes in a way only my Asian mother can. Do it. Yeah. We are all rolling our eyes at this dude. Honestly, you guys, if I were a man, I would have taken Rosamond Oliver to my bosom as soon as I could, dude. Like, beautiful girl. She is sweet. She is gonna grow up to be like a beautiful woman and a sweet person. In time. She's rich. Dude! Just take her. Anyway. Yeah, I'm rolling my eyes too in a way that Mexicans do. While something in me... Oh, wait. Strange indeed. I could not help ejaculating. While something in me, he went on, is acutely sensible to her charms, something else is as deeply impressed by her defects. There's such that she could not sympathize in anything I aspired to, cooperate in nothing I undertook. Rosamond a sufferer, a laborer, a female apostle? Rosamond a missionary's wife? No! But you need not be a missionary. You might relinquish that scheme. Relinquish what, my vocation? My great work? My foundation laid on earth for a mansion in heaven? My hopes of being numbered in the band who have merged all their ambitions in the glorious one of bettering their race, of carrying knowledge into the realms of ignorance, of substituting peace for war, freedom for bondage, religion for superstition, the hope of heaven for the fear of hell? Must I relinquish that? It is dearer than the blood in my veins. It is what I have to look forward to and to live for. After a considerable pause, I said, And Miss Oliver? Are her disappointment and sorrow of no interest to you? Miss Oliver is ever surrounded by suitors and flatterers. In less than a month my image will be effaced from her heart. She will forget me, and will marry, probably, some who will make her far happier than I should do. You speak coolly enough, but you suffer in the conflict. You are wasting away. No! If I get a little thin, it is with anxiety about my prospects yet unsettled, my departure continually procrastinated. Only this morning I received intelligence that the successor, whose arrival I have been so long expecting, cannot be ready to replace me for 3 months to come yet, and perhaps the 3 months may extend to 6. You tremble and become flushed whenever Miss Oliver enters a schoolroom. Again the surprised expression crossed his face. He had not imagined that a woman would dare to speak so to a man. For me, I felt at home in this sort of discourse. I could never rest in communication with strong, discreet, and refined minds, whether male or female, till I had passed the outworks of conventional reserve and crossed the threshold of confidence, and won a place by their hearts' very hearthstone. "You are original," said he, "and not timid. There's something brave in your spirit as well as penetrating in your eye. But allow me to assure you that you partially misinterpret my emotions. You think them more profound and potent than they are. You give me a larger allowance of sympathy than I have a just claim to. When I color, when I shade before Miss Oliver, I do not pity myself. I scorn the weakness. I know it is ignoble, a mere fever of the flesh. Not, I declare, the convulsion of the soul. That is fixed as a rock, firm set in the depths of a restless sea. Know me to be what I am, a cold, hard man." I smiled incredulously. "You have taken my confidence by storm, and now it is much at your service. I can simply, in my original state, stripped of that blood-bleached robe with which Christianity covers human deformity, a cold, hard, ambitious man, natural affection only, of all the sentiments, has permanent power over me. Reason and not feeling is my guide. My ambition is unlimited. My desire to rise higher, to do more than others, insatiable. I honor endurance, perseverance, industry, and talent, because these are the means by which men achieve great ends and mount to lofty eminence. I watch your career with interest, because I consider you a specimen of a diligent, orderly, energetic woman, not because I deeply compassionate what you have gone through or what you still suffer. You would describe yourself as a mere pagan philosopher," I said. "No, there's a difference between me and deistic philosophers. I believe, and I believe the gospel. You miss your epithet. I am not a pagan, but a Christian philosopher, a follower of the sect of Jesus. As his disciple, I adopt his pure, his merciful, his benignant doctrines. I advocate them. I am sworn to spread them. Won in youth to religion, she has cultivated my original qualities thus. From the minute germ, natural affection, she has developed the overshadowing tree, philanthropy. From the wild, stingy root of human uprightness, she has reared a due sense of the divine justice. Of the ambition to win power and renown for my wretched self, she has formed the ambition to spread my master's kingdom, to achieve victories for the standard of the cross. So much has religion done for me, turning the original materials to the best account, pruning and training nature. But she could not eradicate nature, nor will it be eradicated till this mortal shall put on immortality." Having said this, he took his hat, which lay on the table beside my pallet. Once more he looked at the portrait. "She is lovely. She is well named Rose of the World, indeed." "And may I not paint one like it for you?" "Cui bono? No." He drew the picture. He drew over the picture the sheet of thin paper on which I was accustomed to rest my painting. He drew over the picture the sheet of thin paper on which I was accustomed to rest my hand in painting, to prevent the cardboard from being sullied. What he suddenly saw on this blank paper was impossible for me to tell, but something had caught his eye. He took it up with a snatch. He looked at the edge, then shot a glance at me, inexpressibly peculiar and quite incomprehensible, a glance that seemed to take and make note of every point in my face, in my shape, face, and dress, for it traversed all, quick, keen as lightning. His lips parted as if to speak, but he checked the coming sentence, whatever it was. "What is the matter?" "Nothing in the world," was the reply, and replacing the paper, I saw him dexterously tear a narrow strip from the margin. It disappeared in his glove, and with one hasty nod and "Good afternoon," he vanished. "Well," I exclaimed, "isn't an expression of the district. That caps the globe, however." I, in my turn, scrutinized the paper, but saw nothing on it save a few dingy stains of paint where I had tried the tint of my pencil. I pondered the mystery a minute or two, but finding it unsolvable and being certain that it could not be much moment, I dismissed and soon forgot it. End of chapter. All right. We have, okay, so these are really interesting chapters. Because I feel like we have a lot of like foils of people. So we have St. John, a foil of Rochester. They're both so different, so different. They're both forceful in nature, but so different in their temperament, their views of the world. It's really interesting. I know St. John is not a likable character because he's so full of himself. But as a character, he's pretty fascinating. At least I find him really fascinating. He's a creature of... he's just a creature that's needs a lot of like help, I suppose. But you gotta hand it to him. It takes an iron will to give up something so tempting. The one thing I don't like though is that he attributes like it's evil to like Oliver is like Rosamund Oliver is the tempter. It's like, dude, like no, don't attribute her like evil. This kind of feels really off to me. So yeah. What do you guys think is the thing that drew his attention? What do you think is going to happen between him and Rosamund? Will love prevail, or will he remain stubborn as a mule and not marry her? It is true, little butterfly. It feels like he's in denial. It's like he doth protest too much. So I don't know what's gonna. I've never been able to what can I say? As a romantic, I'm a romantic at heart. Everybody knows that in my surface and in my heart, I'm a romantic through and through. So seeing like somebody so obdurate and stubborn, like willing to deny himself and the other person's happiness, it's just so sad. Especially for like Jane, who she's looking at this drama and she's like, why don't you just love her, marry her? Like, she's come from like a situation where she loved somebody and he loved her, but just the situation was not right. And she's like, she probably is like thinking like not many people are lucky enough to like love each other and be able to marry and spend their lives together. So why are you doing this to yourself and to the poor girl? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Rosamund's affection for St. John is so shallow that she would get married in like find somebody else within a month? I don't know. I mean, she's kind of childlike, but I don't know. We'll see. Wonder if she should get more credit than that. So what was it that he took? He took a strip of paper. A strip of paper from like just like a piece of random rough sketch paper. We don't know what was in the paper, what's the paper for or about, but we'll see. Red Tempest says she may wait a few years. Yeah, she's still young. I think we should give her like a little bit of time. We'll see. We do know that St. John is forced to stay for at least another 3 months, maybe longer, because the guy that was going to replace him is his situation has been delayed. So he's like, I can't believe my departure for like my missionary work has been delayed. So maybe within those 3 months, something could happen. Who knows? So let's just go back to like his interpretation of like how he describes. So he says that he is a hard man. He told Jane, like, know me for what I am. I am not pining after the comforts. I am not in love. I am a very hard man. I am struggling with emotions, and I am angry at myself for struggling with these emotions. But at the heart of it all, I'm a man. I'm a hard man. I do not have feelings. He does say that he has given it all up for the sake of something greater, far grander. And he is like he believes wholeheartedly in what he wants to do. Ultimately, he sees Rosamund Oliver and he's like, she wouldn't be a good wife to me. Unfortunately, it's would you be a good husband to her? That's the first question too. And of course we all know that he wouldn't. He probably must play around with her feelings, I guess. I kind of feel like he likes to, it suits his ego, it plays with his ego to like know that she cares for him, but he's willing to, like, he's hurt at the expense of hurting her. He could hurt her really badly. So in a way, I don't want him to get together with with Miss Oliver, because he would not be a good husband to her. He is a cold heart man. And yes, it says that Christianity, the fact that he, like, religion and Christianity has kind of like turned his nature for the better, helps him so he can become like a more like worthy individual. But in the end, his human nature is there, and it will stay there until the final day. So he's like, I'm a cold and ambitious man. The only love he knows is that of familial, like with his sisters. That's the only warmth he knows and can give. It's like love towards his family members. Other than that, it's just reason and not feeling as his guide. He is ambitious, very ambitious, and not just ambitious, but desires to rise higher and do so. He's incredibly competitive. So, yeah. Little Butterfly says, none of the men in this story are worth the time. Fair enough. Red Tempest says, it would be funny if Miss Oliver is delaying the replacement by giving donations. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Maybe. Yo, that's a twist. I would never have thought about it. Thank you, Crusher, for reminding me of the memes. See? There you go. I'm gonna pull up the memes. Hold on a second. Don't forget the memes. I'm gonna go get the memes. Nevertheless, the story, you guys, the story is not about the men. I agree, you guys. The men are not, yeah. The story is Jane, and I believe she is a really, really great character. She just is. Oh no! Oh. So here's... Oh no. Guys, I've never seen a version of the Chad meme turn to Jesus. I don't know whether this is, I should be laughing or if this is profane or not. Crusher, you're skating the line, but just because it's the Chad guy, and he's usually oh yeah. I mean, you have to. It's not that being a missionary is a bad thing. It's a noble profession. Not everybody is suited for it. It really isn't. Not everybody is suited. I see you guys laughing here. I'll let you see it continue while I continue talking about missionary work and whatnot. In fact, I admire people. Not everybody's suited, and not everybody's called to be a missionary. If you have the temperament, the the force, the mental and physical fortitude to go out, by all means, you are blessed. You're amazing. But, man, so in this era, this was like the time when being a missionary was the thing to do. You couldn't be an explorer, but you could be a missionary. It was the same kind of acclaim and fame you would get, almost like missionaries would be like a little bit of like celebrities. They really were like, they were like, wow, this guy went to India and did all these things. Wow, like he explored the world. So the world was yet like, at least the Europeans, as far as I knew, it was all like very wild, very adventurous. So it was risky, but it was like an adventurous calling. So I get it if St. John is trying to live up to, like, fulfill his need for like greatness. And you know, it's okay if you have a like ambition. Sorry for being a cold and ambitious man. This is St. John from the 2006 version, I believe, of Jane Eyre. Yes, he's a very cold and ambitious man. This is my favorite version of Jane Eyre. Well, one of them. Gosh, there's like two that are like neck to neck. Like there's some the 1983 and 2006. They're like the ones that compete for my favorite. But anyway, this is from 2006. A cold and ambitious man. Thank you for sharing the memes, Crusher. We'll see. What do you guys think is going to happen with St. John, Miss Oliver, and Jane? She says, Crusher says, Magpie, do you think someone like St. John could make it to the pearly gates? You know what? I don't think ultimately God is the one who sees the heart of men. And if you are willing, like, not everybody can be a St. Paul, but God needs like St. Paul's, like people who are willing to, you know, put aside family, put aside comfort, put aside things. And your temperament probably might be cold, but if you are being changed every day by Jesus, who are we to say? Like, even St. John is on his own spiritual journey. So I'm sure that trials and tribulations and growing up, and it's gonna change him to be more like Jesus Christ, and he can make it to the pearly gates. But he has to work on a little bit of his character to be more like Jesus. Ultimately, we're all the same, you guys. Like, we're all flawed individuals, and Jane isn't really like judging him. I think more she pities him. She really does seem to pity him. At least that's the kind of feel that I get. Let's see. I'm just reading. None of the men in this story are worth the time, from Little Butterfly. Akihana says, I still wonder though, what would happen if Jane is indeed their cousin and then they find out the truth of it? How would the Rivers react? You're still on that thought train. I don't know. I think the girls would really like it. They would have another cousin, and she definitely would be overjoyed because she has no family except her uncle, who was like in Madeira. So I think I would love it if it, I mean, it's in a fanfic, maybe. Look at those sideburns. I know, the sideburns make me want to draw. Don't you dare, Red Tempest. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Akihana says, my gut is telling me that over the course of the next 3 months, St. John will crumble and give in to his feelings for Rosamund. Oh, yes, that's a good feeling. We want to see him reduced to admitting his love. I think it would do him good to love and be loved. So let's see what happens. Join me for the next read along to see what new developments take place, to get a few more answers to the questions that we have been wondering. And don't do it, Crusher. Don't you encourage him. I will see you guys on Friday, probably. What time Friday? Friday morning. Yes, definitely Friday morning, either 10 or noon, one of those times. So I hope you join me then, you guys. I've had so much fun, but I'm gonna let you guys go to sleep now and have enjoy the rest of your evening. I am off to eat some dessert. I made chocolate chip cookies yesterday, like a big batch, and it's only me and my sister right now. So we're we're eating those cookies. So I kind of feel like milk and cookies right now. So I'm gonna do that to reward myself. Also, yeah, that's all. I was gonna say something, but I'll leave it for later. I hope you join me on Friday, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to behave, everybody. Do not deface Ferdinand by adding any sideburns to him, or you will be blocked, muted, or timed out for I don't know how long. Meanwhile, everybody else here is a good person. Everybody here will behave. I'll see you guys on Friday. And Red Tempest, I'm warning you, don't do it. Ooh, Red Tempest says, I have a concha to eat too. Yes, let us enjoy our late night snack. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye bye.